Sound the Gjallarhorn and dig out your ear spoons. It's time for another episode of Vikings and Valkyries, an actual play podcast featuring the reimagined Ragnarok of When the Wolf Comes. I am Ian Stewart Sharp, your mound hastener for this evening, ready to digest my cleverly crafted kennings are our gamers Bill, Steve, Mike, and CJ. Welcome, Worm Food.
Hi.
Nice.
Promising start.
That was a warmer welcome than some other ones. That's good.
Yeah, well, no, that was good.
I was trying to be polite and welcoming that time around. Now, Bill and Steve, we know you from ye oldie times of yore, both as characters and humans who've lingered perhaps too long on this world. Bill, a little bit of an intro to you. We know you as a jack of all trades, or in Norse, a Fusenthala smither, the equivalent being a craftsman of 1,000 rasps. You're a professional dungeon master in your spare time. How do you think we're doing from a kind of critical eye?
Well, I think, the thing that I've been enjoying tremendously when I take folks through a dungeon or a game of any kind, an RPG of any kind, is the creative way I bring death to the players. And although I frequently am the only one who seems to be laughing out loud, I take it as a given that the players, even the dead ones, are laughing on the inside. So it's going quite well. I'm very positive.
Good. Well, you've exposed several people's insides over the past 2 episodes by having them eviscerated. Steve, I presume that you're calling in from the labyrinth below Bill's house now.
Bill doesn't know that.
He doesn't know that. He hasn't just entombed
We weren't going to
there.
talk about that.
And now
we weren't going to talk about that. I've implanted all the surveillance devices I need. He's being well cared for.
Very good. You yourself has penned many works of fiction. So is the novelization of this podcast in the works?
It is, absolutely. It's gone very well. I think you'll find the novelized version to be greatly enhanced over the visual version. Particularly the scene I added with my character and the group of Valkyries. I think it'll really turn out well. We just have to get the right casting for it.
I look forward to reading it. We'll check back next week to see how many more pages you have turned in. Now, CJ and Mike are newcomers to the game, and that's partly because everyone else keeps dying. CJ, you host the Vikingology podcast as well as writing Viking sagas yourself. Do you think your Norse expertise will give you what it takes to survive?
That really depends on what you throw at us. So far, from what I've listened to, I have very little hope, but that's okay. It's out of my control. We'll let fate decide.
And Mike, you are a giant among men on the tech scene, but a humble initiate when it comes to the gaming table. Have you done any special prep to avoid being thrown to the wolves?
I admittedly am completely new to this. So I grabbed every lifeline and life preserver I could. I've read what I could in the short time, and I'm excited. Whether I'm prepared or not, I don't really know if I am.
What I liked about our interaction over the past couple of days is you took the whole PDF and you gave it to the AI, the great AI gods, in order to digest it and make sense of it for you. And in just 5 minutes, they took my 400-page rule book and they turned it into a 10-minute piece of badinage. What do you think? Did that make head or tail of it for you?
Well, I can tell you Google's Notebook LM podcast hosts are far more engaging than you are so far, Ian. So you have competition.
Welcome, Michael.
Yeah.
But I really think there's a name change afoot because they kept referring to you as Sharpay.
It's a very difficult name to pronounce.
Sharpay. It's the physical resemblance, is it?
To the Sharpay.
Sharpay. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very simple. It's one syllable. My grandfather added the E because he wanted to be a bit more pretentious and have nothing to do with the Commodore Garden sharps without an E. But here we are. Mike, thank you for being so kind in your intro there. We'll try to be equally gentle with you as a novice to role-playing and hope that you survive these next couple of hours. We really should have set you up with one of the Sons of Avaldi characters, who were the origins where these incredibly wealthy technocrats upload their consciousness into machines. Now, before we start on today's saga, I do want to test your Norse metal, a little warm-up, perhaps to get your working and your rolling. We talked in the intro there about kennings. CJ, you've probably got a good definition for a kenning for me.
The poem. Well, it is a what's the right word? It is a structured saying.
Yeah, a compound expression from Old Norse poetry, like often has a metaphorical meaning, like instead of saying the word ship, the Norse would say oarsteed. So to get us in the mood, I'm going to give you a pop quiz to start this episode. I'm going to give you 2 kennings, and I will get your fingers on the buzzers, and the person who can guess the answer to what this kenning represents, I'm going to give an inspiration point, as just to make it a little bit more interesting. So if you heard the Old Norse kenning of the trout of the beach, what would I be referring to?
Me on holiday.
Oysters or clams, a shellfish of some kind.
No correct answers yet.
Trout of the beach.
Beach, as in B-E-A-C-H, not B-I-T. Like
yes,
beach.
it's
Right,
the sandy beach, the sandy or stony
French,
beach.
Bill.
Checking the context.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's like a walrus or something.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to give it to you. It is a serpent. A serpent in Old Norse. One of the kennings for a serpent would be the trout of the beach. I'll give you another one. Perhaps this one will be a little bit easier. This one is the thong of the bedmate of thunder. I'll repeat it for you. The thong of the bedmate of thunder.
$500 a night. No, not the one.
No, not the one. Perhaps
I've just got
a special offer you saw in your
going
local.
through my
Yeah,
head
we're just out.
now.
We heard
Yeah,
thong
yeah.
and brains locked up. Yeah.
Yeah, thong, 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 thong.
DJ, anything?
A noose.
It's not bad. It's not a bad guess.
Not bad. Yeah.
I get a sense that CJ's scholarship is not so focused on all the dirty stuff.
Yeah.
That's
Well, he
my
has to refer to a book, right? Unlike Ian.
Yeah, he's much more erudite. No, I will give it to you again. So sadly, the inspiration points do not go to the uninspired. But the thong of the bedmate of thunder is actually just another kenning for serpent. So the whole point of Norse mythology is to, in a very convoluted way, say instead of saying snake, just come up with these much more poetical.
Now, so
What is wrong with these people?
yeah, for the newer players, I want to point out that the GM constantly gives little hints that are not clearly hints until much after it would have been useful to have known that that was a hint.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So well, you
let's
see
just
that when we
let's just see.
when we get into the into Mike's character, I wanted to give him a little bit of a warm up because he has got a connection to serpents and snakes that will become clear when we intro his character. So let's dive into this week's thrilling installment, which is the second adventure in the Thought and Memory saga. It is entitled The Book of Daniel, and it takes place a couple of weeks after we left the events of Nobody Dies in Helpmakar. And Bill, your character Lomi, and Steve, your character Air, are the survivors of the Holm gang with the Jarl of the town, a guy called
Noki.
Finnbogi, Noki to his friends, who he regularly impales upon his sword. So can you tell me a little bit about what you've been up to in the past 2 weeks of downtime? Because you have leveled up to level 1 and been keeping yourselves gainfully unemployed?
Shall I begin?
I wish you would.
Okay, so speaking as Gliomi, we've been sitting in this cabin, the cabin of Bornus and Bjarnafarts, the dead guy.
Bjarni.
Yeah, and
Respectful as always.
yes, well, men, you know.
Let's hope his shade does not come back to haunt you.
Yes, indeed. Let's hope not. And although I remain active in this building of found wood and rotting iron covered in rust and filled with insects, Air has, let's say, chosen to simply sit and stare, statue-like, into the near distance, the far distance, who can tell? I'm choosing instead to embrace the world of the living, and thus, as a lesson to the abomination, I have encouraged many of the local insects to join the throngs already in residence on my person. We make a lively and happy family. My soul rejoices, and I introduce each new member of the family to the atrocity, but he seems not to care. And perhaps...
So you're saying you're festooned with cockroaches?
I am with cockroaches and other members of the family I had previously, and it has occurred to me that maybe Air is not just sitting staring, but, happy thought, perhaps he has died.
I am living in hell. I am occupying this wretched little hovel with a tree covered in bugs. It smells of insect waste. It smells of his waste, for that matter. This is one of the most depressing places I've ever been in. I sit and I contemplate what sequence of events in life and afterlife led me to this point. I can't really think of a good reason. I'm reminded repeatedly during the day that yes, in fact, I am an abomination, and I think longingly of the troll's tongue and look forward to the day when I perhaps will yeet myself off of it in the hopes of ending this existence and returning to the afterlife from which I was wrenched. But for now, I shall sit here in my magnificent stone prison and watch without comprehension while this bizarre roommate seems to enjoy having cockroaches crawling all over his body.
Now, if you wouldn't mind just giving us a brief insight into your chosen path. You have both perversely and bizarrely chosen the path of the wise.
Well, we have both taken the path of wisdom, presumably in the hopes of finding some. The world of the living has very little to commend it, and very little of it makes sense. I have decided that if I'm going to be sentenced to spend some time here back in the world of the living against my will, the least I can do is try to make things more interesting for myself and for others near me. And so I've managed to work on learning a few skills that I think will lead to my considerable amusement.
So you have now spells at your disposal.
I do. A few tricks I've picked up.
And Bill, you've been singing soft lullabies to Air, have you?
Not
To
that
Air,
soft.
to
Jesus.
the bugs. You know, it is true that we have seen our share of death on these adventures, and it's taught me to look to embrace life and health and growth, and that's the reason I'm following the path of the wise, unlike my dour companion. I'll be calling up the living force of the great tree, Yggdrasil, and learning the craft of spell song. And it will help me find the secret path, or it will help me bring the biting charms against my enemies, or I will sing the dirge of death, or perform the glorious weapon song, thus bringing light and health to all.
All right. Well, thank you for that little recap. Now entering into this scene, the world's edge, the town of Halpmakar, a frozen Bunyan on the backside of the north, come two new characters. CJ, would you like to tell us a little bit about who you are playing and why on earth you are here?
I will be playing the role of Grjotgarth the Magnificent. Grjotgarth. I've got to get it right because I'm going to be holding you all accountable to get it right as well. He is a Yofur. A Yofur. So, how do I describe the Yofur? Let's see. Think of Star Trek Wrath of Khan. He's Khan. Genetically enhanced, genes spliced. Also in that vein, thinks his entire race think of themselves as demigods. Exceptionally wealthy, superior to men in all ways, shapes, or form. But also, I find really interesting about this race, as far as professions are concerned, none. A life of leisure, growing up. Some things to note about Grjotgarth the Magnificent. A silver medalist in the Tonga Honk, essentially tug of war. Tonga Honk at the All Asgard Games. And
I do love that you basically spent your entire fortune, heritage, reputation on basically tug of war and winning a silver medal. So I presume that you're lined with muscles and rippling with sinew.
Well, about that. So yes, large. Let's see, builds like Gengur Herolf. So large that I cannot ride a horse, evidently. I don't know if that's hyperbole or not. We shall find out. And also in terms of physical appearance, like a peacock, very vain, showy clothes. Quite the eccentric character, I think we're about to find out.
And can you tell us a little bit of why you were in the frozen north, or is that a deep and dark secret?
As much as, well, you know what? I'm going to let Grjotgarth the Magnificent tell you. I'm looking for something, and it's none of your business.
Very good. Now, if I'm correct, and my Norse might be a little bit rusty, doesn't that translate to rock hard?
Grjotgarth?
I think it translates to rock hard. I might be wrong, but I didn't want to sully your good name so early on, so we will stick with Grjotgarth.
The idea is the Yofur named themselves after famous heroes and gods because they believe themselves to be of that level. So he is so named after Grjotgarth, the king of Lade, father to Hakon, first king.
Oh, that one. Oh,
Yeah. An illustrious lineage.
Yeah. On the
funny
mother's
thing
side.
the funny thing
side,
is Bill, you probably
knew him.
actually knew him because you're a dead Viking spirit in a tree body.
I remember the historic Girthfart. I remember meeting him. I committed his name to memory. That sort of thing comes to me easily. As men go, not bad.
Do you feel that 1,000 years being caged in an arboreal body has somewhat attenuated your memory?
Not at all. And I have the bugs. Did I mention the bugs? I have a lot of bugs.
CJ, anything else you would like to tell us about your new entrant into this merry throng?
I really think we should let him speak for himself.
Very good. I look forward to it. Now, Mike, we rolled you up a character just over the weekend. Would you like to introduce Eric Raudsuk?
Well, Eric Raudsuk, he's an interesting character. He's a grisly, haggard guy. He's, kind of 40 years old. I'm prematurely aged because I've just had a hard Scrabble existence.
Because you've been on this podcast too long.
Yeah, that's right. Medium height, broad and somewhat athletic. Huge fan of Grjotgarth because of the Asgard Games. I won modest fame as a glima, which is wrestling, for those of you who need that information. My personality, I consider, he's noble. He's committed to what is right. Even if insisting on it would cost me my life, his life, he'd do it. And something that's interesting, he's also a follower of Fangul, if I'm pronouncing that correct.
And what is Fangul?
Well, it is a religion that is really it's all about snakes and serpents. They worship them. They are creatures that they are totally just engaged with, and they pray to them. And I've actually wrote a prayer.
That's nice. Do you want to recite it now, or would there be a moment later on where you wish to begin?
Unsure. Should I do it now, or should
it will give us a taste of your forked tongue.
Okay. O sacred serpent, wise and silent guide, in your shedding grant us renewal. In your patience teach us peace. There you go.
That's one. Should we always say amen at the end of that, or just bang a hammer on the?
No. You have to do the.
Very sibilant.
A point of erudition, if I might. I believe in the Norse world, serpents were referred to as the rout of the bitch. So that's something you guys can just remember, that kind of color the performance tonight.
Have the termites completely burrowed through your brain?
Sorry, the termites are speaking to me right now.
Thank you, Mike, for the intro. So, given that you are a kind of semi-famous, semi-retired wrestler, are we looking at those kind of WWE legends like there are the Viking Raiders, or are you more like a Papa Shango or the Undertaker?
Problem. I mean, I'm shocked that you know that much about WWE.
He knows everything.
I think
I
I
personally
respect
does
you a
this
little
to me.
right now. But I probably more in the line of more of a subdued character. Probably, and I don't know anything about WWE, but other than Hulk Hogan, and I think I'm slightly more subdued than Hulk Hogan.
It probably is a little bit too cold outside for spandex, so
Yeah, and I'm not ripping my shirt off.
Okay, very good. But you are somewhat enamored with CJ's character in the same way as that Bill is somewhat disparaging of Steve's character.
I thought it was just Steve he was disparaging.
Art and life, they mingle.
Bill, we were supposed to make characters to role play rather than just being ourselves.
Yeah, I don't know. That sounds like work, Steve.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to open this scene in this new adventure, the Book of Daniel. We're going to open it in Halpmakar, same place as we left off. It is still high summer. The world's edges warmed by the glowing midnight sun that toils in the sky. The coastal ice has melted somewhat, allowing for the safe passage of ships. And on one of those ships come your two new companions as they enter into the town, searching for something and are given directions to what passes for a door. Obviously, the trapper cabin that you've been living in for the past 2 weeks is ramshackle, and the door is barely on its hinges. But amidst the frenzy of squawking birds that announce their arrival, I will hand over to CJ to rap on your door and disturb you from whatever space you were staring into.
Did you hear that? I just made my dog bark.
Unusual Foley work there.
Hello, is anyone home?
Atrocity, can you answer that, please? I'm adopting.
No, I'm not your servant. Answer it yourself.
Answer it. Oh, very well. Come along, children. I open the door. Yes, man.
Hello there, thing.
Yes, I'm adopting. What did you need?
I'm looking for something. An escaped Dverg thrall. Have you seen one?
We had a device traveling with us for some time. Quite gooey.
Gooey?
Yes, he was constantly leaking lubricants.
And prone to acts of affection.
Have you woken up then, Atrocity? Is that what's going on?
Oh, hello, I'm the Atrocity.
It's good you've embraced it.
I have no choice.
We had a machine. There was a machine. The machine was one of the locals, some fellow, Golbecki, do donkey, something along those lines. He chopped it in half. It was horrible and completely without merit, and we did nothing to bring that on ourselves.
Immediately behind you, you are interrupted by yet more thumping. Your conversation is difficult to carry on because behind you is a huge, evil-looking Jotun who is pummeling a stake into the ground. The creature has a great humped back that she carries higher than her head, one eye in the middle of her forehead, 2 overgrown teeth stuck out from her chops, and her bottom lip hangs down to her chest. And you realize that she really would be able to give a powerful kiss if her ability to maneuver her lip matched its size.
Lomi, I think she's here for you.
Exactly what this Jotun is doing becomes apparent as you crane your next round. You find that she's hammering a fish skull onto the post. The post itself is etched with runes, and she turns this fish skull round before slathering another one on top, impaling it so that there are 2. Then she adds a third. Each of the heads she turns towards you, and you recognize that she has been creating a mything pole or a curse pole. CJ, perhaps you know something about those with your Norse background?
Yes, the question is, where is she pointing the mything pole?
She is pointing it generally in the direction of the hut, but the gaze encompasses all of you, their glazed eyes staring dead-like, but the teeth themselves, despite being dislodged from the body and gnashing, these needle-like teeth are continuing to twitch and snarl. The Jotun begins to say to you, "Prowling shadows, slayers of my kindred's kin, here I set up this curse pole, and this curse I turn to you, bear beaters."
I think she's cursing us.
This curse,
Gentlemen,
I
have you had any
also
run-ins?
turn on the Alpha who dwell in this land, that they may fall to blight until their ignorant servants do penance for their crimes. You cannot turn from your fate, for it is bound to the ice. The where is our blood.
I feel like she's trying to speak with us, but I can't understand her.
Guys, can anyone here translate? Lomi, you speak crazy person, don't you?
Yes, I'll speak to her and I'll use small words.
Please, please.
Greetings, large man thing. What offense have we committed? I don't understand. My friend is even more confused. Tell me the offense again, please.
I am going to just do a couple of rolls in the background. The curse pole has it emanates its kind of psychic disturbance. It places this vexating curse on you, and Lomi, as you utter your diatribe, you face 6 damage, and you are also incredibly frightened. You are seized by terror. The spell that has been cast from this curse pole has ridden you to your very core.
I took 6 damage?
That is correct.
Just checking my spell list.
Is this creature within short range?
The post has been hammered into the ground, into the tundra, immediately outside your shack, as if it were your mailbox.
Okay, is she within short range?
Correct.
I would like to try to get her to... Yeah, I would like to use Evil Eye on her. make a wits attack roll against the target's will. So that would be, we have not attacked her in any way. We haven't done anything harmful yet. So
first of all, as
Uh-huh.
you do that, and you're perfectly willing to do so, but I just want to make sure that with the effect of this curse on you, you have taken 7 damage, and you are also
Loser.
horrified, terrified, and frightened as this ancient curse reminds you of the Tartars, the horsemen who attacked your village, their shamanistic qualities all those centuries ago, and it is so haunting that you are also frightened. So when you cast your spell, please do so with 3 woes.
However, it says when you cast Deep-Minded, I make an attack. Does this count as an attack roll? I cast a spell, yeah. Well, I get
It
1
does.
wheel, and so that's only 2 woe then for me?
Correct, because you have taken the path of the wise, and it has the talent of being deep-minded, and you are
Okay.
using your evil eye to effectively wink at this young lady in order to charm her. Please go ahead.
Okay, so...
You would make a striking couple, if I may just say.
Well, thanks. Okay, so first the die 20, and then...
Ooh.
Okay, so that is a total of, so that's 11, and I'm going to add my wits, so that puts me at 14.
Which is a good roll. She finishes pummeling the heads into the ground. The heads themselves continue to gnatch and hiss, but she turns to you and says, "You look like a promising man to me. I'd be interested to try out such a thing and lose my virginity and have my belly skin stretched. The grey beast I have between my legs is starting to yawn now and wants to be fondled."
I may have overdone that. Why
Take
are
one
you...
for the team.
See, I'm already dead. How much worse can it get? Fair bit, I expect.
I
You
do
may
need
find
to. There is collateral damage from the 2 newcomers who have unfortunately wandered into your bear baiting business, and so CJ, I'm going to need you to take 7 damage, and you are also frightened by this unearthly curse. And for some reason, Eric, you have entirely shrugged off this curse. You are free. Perhaps you are made of sterner stuff. Perhaps you have mental fortitude. Perhaps the gods are smiling on you, and you are just lucky. But nothing has permeated through to you, and you are free of the vexation.
Probably because I was like really close to Grotgard because I'm such a fan of him. I hid behind him.
Maybe the case. Line of sight. You were so hidden behind his bulging biceps from his Toga Honk silver medal winning performance that you were saved. Everyone else, though, has this curse, and unfortunately, you don't necessarily know this as players, but as individuals here, you cannot be healed until this curse is lifted.
So Griotgarth is going to reach back to Eric and say, Eric, you seem to be immune to this. Will you go kick down that kneading pole? Please, and thank you.
The knitting pole is the curse pole that's been put in front of you with the fish heads on it. Again, because you are new to the game, I'm going to remind you, Mike, that you do have an ability called Udall Right, where you can ask the GM one yes/no question. And this is the kind of environment where you might want to ask it, is it a good idea to kick down the curse pole that has benighted my friends?
I think I will take advantage of that question. Is it a good idea to go put my shoulder into that pole and take it down like the pro wrestler that I am?
I'm going to say, just in the spirit of this, not just a yes/no. I'm going to say, no, of course not.
Right, because pushing down the pole probably still doesn't lift any of their
the nature of these curses is it summons the spirits of the land Vetir, to plague and persecute the people to whom the curse is directed at. So merely removing the pole itself just incenses them further, so that you will continue to be hounded until such time as the curse is lifted, or you have atoned for whatever sins the person who has bestowed this curse upon you elaborates as to what that is.
So should I respond to Graka?
By all means.
Oh, my mighty friends, I think that not a good idea. I don't think it'll help you and our two new friends if I do so. Being somewhat of a religious man and knowing curses, I know that will do nothing to what has befallen us. We must help both you and our two new friends.
That's all well and good. Since you know so much about it, what can you do?
I think we must travel forth and find someone who can lift this curse off of all of you.
Naomi speaks to Air Sato voice and says, "Can you have a word with your girlfriend, please?" She is out of control.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, so does she seem to be responding or paying attention?
She has, at this stage, her arms draped around you, revealing a rather fetid armpit, and the two teeth that I mentioned protruding above her lip are now resting daintily on your ornate stone shoulder.
Well, beggars can't be choosers. So, good woman, can you tell us why we have been cursed?
Daniel has placed this curse upon you. He sent me with the curse pole. You have offended him.
Who?
Only Daniel can believe you have this curse.
Did you say only a banjo can lift you from this?
That's kind of what I heard. So, a banjo.
Why goodness, as if she's trying to speak to us.
It is starting to fall into place, actually.
Again, Sato voice. I say, why doesn't she talk properly?
Sort of voice. Did you understand any of that?
No.
Sorry, what was the name again? Who placed this on us?
Daniel.
Oh, Daniel.
He is
Daniel.
the headman of the
Spaniel.
village of Spickabog.
Spaniel. I've got it now. Spaniel.
Spaniel from Sycabog. Spaniel from Spaniel. Okay. What have we done? What have we done to offend Spaniel of Ichabod?
I think it's the bear.
You have baited the bear.
Baited the bear.
We baited the bear.
Air, you allowed the bear to eat two of our friends. That's what you did. And now we're all paying for it. It's just the sort of thing I've come to expect.
Yes, that's right. Yes. So the crime was that someone's bear ate our friends, and we're to be held responsible for this?
You must speak to Daniel. I can only give you kisses.
Yeah.
What an eccentric performance.
Thank you. So we
Now,
must
the
speak to-
Jötnar are all refugees from the war, the Jotun war that raged for several decades. The Jotuns were on the losing side, but there are some refugee camps that you know on the southern side of Heimstedt. Spickborg itself, the name means blubber town. They make a living there as whalers, cleansing the whales and bringing their oil, the so-called gold of the sea, from the southern shore of the island archipelago. That is presumably where this Jotun has come from or been sent by her headman, Daniel. There's a couple of other things that I will, in the interests of elucidation, because the accent is perhaps a a little challenging for you off-worlders. She said in her curse, "Prowling shadows, slayers of my kindred's kin." And then she killed you bear baiters, and she turned this curse on the Alpha who dwell in this land.
The Alpha.
And just bear in mind that you are not the only two Alpha.
Oh yes, there's
So other trees have been misbehaving, so we need to be punished.
I think we've misbehaved.
What
and
did you do?
No, it's what you did, and it's
What I did.
Old Dunger is the Alpha at the temple, right?
Old Dung what?
Old Dunger.
Old Dunger, okay.
Old Dunger. His picture is up on roll 20 if you look in the journal section.
Oldunger is the priest of the Temple of the Bear, whom you had tried to get to deliver expert testimony before the Holmgang in your last adventure. In actual fact, he took you under his wing, or under his branch, under his eaves, and he has been given some kind of instruction in the arts of the wise to Mr. Hopkins, to Bill, and his character Lomi.
Okay. So we need to find this Daniel of... I wrote down Ichabod, and I'm pretty sure that's not right, because...
Spickborg.
I wrote down Ichabod also, Steve.
Yeah, I know, and that's why thank you, everyone. Spickborg, right.
This
sounds vaguely
wonderful...
He was commanded a curse to be laid upon us because the bear of a completely unrelated person ate several of our friends. There's a connection I'm not getting.
No, that's the connection. You've got it. We should move forward. We should speak to my friend, Old Dunger.
You have a friend?
Yes. To Old Dunger. I'll put in a good word for you. I can't promise anything. And the men might as well follow us. That's my feeling. Because we may run into more bears, and we know how to use men when we run into bears. We know their purpose.
We do.
I'm not entirely sure that CJ would like being referred to as a man, since he is the genetically enhanced Yoffer.
Yeah, how could you be so insensitive?
All right, so the wafer and the man will follow us then. What are your names?
I'm not a man.
You have names? No, the other one's the man. You're the wafer. You have names?
My name is Eric.
Urkel, yes. What's your last name?
Rodsirk.
Urkel Red Silk. Got it. And you, the Knot Man.
I am Griotgath the Magnificent.
Girthfart the Malaprop. Got it.
No, Griotgath.
Girthfart.
Griotgath.
Girthfart.
Look, I
Girthfart.
understand it's a hard name to
Girthfart.
pronounce. My friends call me Gigi.
Sold.
Juju.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's difficult talking when your lips are made of bark and you have beetles going in and out of them the whole time. So they also burrow into his memory and eat it, apparently. I will transport you to the Temple of the Bear, sitting slightly to the outskirts of the town.
Are you coming with us or staying here with your lady friend?
I think I should bring her with me.
Please do not leave me, lover boy.
You make a compelling offer, I have to say.
Why don't we find somewhere quiet and I will caress your gilded cage?
Oof. I want this to be special. So if you stay here, I will be back in an hour and a half, and it will be an experience you won't soon forget.
Seems reasonable. Now, the Temple of the Bear, as I said, it's akin to a huge timber mead hall. It's adorned with intricate carvings of bear paws, roaring bear heads, and the statues of the gods. These are the hallowed grounds where the townsfolk revere and honor the Isbjorn, the divine emblem of courage and primal power. You have been here before seeking Ordinger's counsel, and you can do so again. The doors are always open to the Brethren of the Bear.
Right. Yomi walks into the temple and calls out, Brother, we have need of your help."
Brother. Oh, it is good to see you. I had feared that the worst had befallen you.
It in some respects, brother, it has. I still
Heavy
travel.
matters.
Heavy matters, yes.
Such a curse. I have never seen the heavens so dim in summer. A savage clamor.
How are the bear cubs? Do they prosper?
So kind of you to ask. They do well despite the lack of their mother's care.
My companions and I, there is the atrocity who you met before.
Okay.
I have Urkel and Girthfart with me as well. Two one man, one bigger man, I think. The distinction is lost on me. We seem to have been cursed, except for Urkel. And I wonder if you had knowledge in how to deal with this terrible affliction. We are badly injured, in fact.
Those you have incurred, dear parishioner, a plague most cruel and unkind, imposed by those who hunt the noble Isbjorn with impunity. These worshippers of the White Christ, with rites most dark and sacrilegious, have cast upon you a curse, a tempest of tribulation to torment thy soul. 'Tis not a hex easily undone, nor a charm to take lightly. Verily, the bear's fierce grip, it clings to you.
How would we, I worry not for myself, but for my companion, how would we rid ourselves of this terrible curse?
Stay thou course, thou son of Midgard, and heed this year's song. You must hie to the court of the crafty Jotnar.
Thank you, brother. We will seek out this spaniel of Ichabod.
Make your best haste and go to Spigborg, to the court of Daniel, a place famed for the Christian that keep upon it. And as you enter his realm, be sure to persuade him to leave the Isbjorn alone, to forestall his hunting.
We will discuss this with him. It will be our primary goal.
Please do bring an end to their barbarous practices.
Yes, brother. Yomi turns to the two, the human and the superhuman, shall we call him, the Superman, as it were.
Love it.
And suggests perhaps a donation would be in order. We gave a donation last time we were here. A very generous donation of a full crown. Something along those lines would be a good idea. The blessings of the gods. What say you, men and not men?
Grotgarth is actually obscenely wealthy, having been born into the halls of Asgard. As I should probably say more like birthed into the halls of Asgard, because there is some confusion as to whether they are born naturally or hatched in test tubes. Such is their perfection.
So the Grotgarth is staring at you suspiciously about this request.
I made a donation. You may ask my brother, Oldunger. I gave a donation on behalf of our party to take care of the bear cubs. He is devoted to the care of the Isbjorn, and I think it would be excellent for you to follow in this fashion. Or perhaps your bedmate or fellow or whatever the relationship is might offer something up. Anything would be appreciated.
May I just say before I give you any money, you got me into this mess. You got me cursed, and now you're asking me to pay?
I think the facts will show we were living quite happily in the cabin, and you show up, and all of a sudden there's a great deal of trouble. And I don't think it's terribly hard, even for a man, to follow the logic of that sort of series of events.
His girlfriend put the damn pole up.
Well, technically, she wasn't his girlfriend at the beginning.
Thank you.
Looks like a girlfriend.
Really? Sorry, no, shouldn't judge.
Fine. How much?
Well, as I said, 2 or 3 full crowns would probably
I think that,
be good.
in all fairness, that's probably a little excessive. You last posted a single solitary shilling into the.
I'm not good with the names of the money, particularly. I'm good with people's names, but not with the money.
The Alpha Priest Oldinger takes your generous donation of a shilling and says, "Stray not into the paths of avarice and dishonor, for therein lurk the beasts of Loki's deceit."
Right.
Very wise.
Handy tip.
What?
Question for the GM. I'm looking at the maps. Which map should I be looking at to be able to spot Spickborg? Is it on one of the maps?
It is.
Map of the region? Would it be that one?
Map of the region, yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, we're a long way.
Might I suggest, brother, that rather than find yourself in Valhall, where the glory lets go, that you avail yourself of the hospitality of Gunnar Weatherbag and hire a dog sled team to take you all the way south across the Jotun trails.
It's going to cost me money, isn't it?
Do you have some?
Do I look like I have some? Of course
Yes.
I have some. I'm a Yoffler.
Yeah, yes, you're far. Yes. Is that the Gunnar at the gun store? He really likes us, as I remember.
Correct.
Yes.
It is
All right.
Gunnar Weatherbag.
He is our old friend. Excellent suggestion, brother. Thank you. And I think we, as a party, will hire our way to Gunnar's gun store.
Okay, you can punch your way along the gravel path and find yourself at the fizzing neon sign. It looks out of place because the whole day is lit up by the midnight sun of this polar region, but it does kind of reflect the glowing cross that is still in the sky. You notice that the supposed aurora borealis hasn't faded and is still looming large above the town. It seems to spark with the same neon glow as Gunnar Weatherbag's Travel Emporium sign.
Leomi turns to our new companions and says, do you, men and not men, do you require foodstuffs, sustenance? Myself and the atrocity, we need none such things.
You still like food?
Yes. Back when you hurt your knee, I believe you fell or something. I can't remember.
I had an arrow in the knee.
Something along, some sort of injury.
And then a sword through the head. But did it stop me? Yes, it did.
Anyway, our man and not man with the money. Perhaps you need to acquire some elements, some things to survive before we take the dog sled ride, which I believe involves a sled and some dogs. This is my understanding of it.
How long of a journey are we talking?
Oh, I'm sure you may need several meals. Perhaps Gunnar will be able to tell us. He's very friendly. Why don't you go in and ask him? He's very friendly.
It's closed!
I'm going to disguise myself.
Oh.
It's the middle of the bloody night. What are you doing knocking on my door? I know the sun's in the sky, but haven't you got any airs or graces?
Greetings, friend. We have returned. You had suggested
I can see that.
We should come
Ain't
back.
the blatant obvious?
Yes. Well, here's the thing. You told us to come back when we had money. And we have, in a rather clever way, solved that issue. And we have money, if I may.
Diamonds, is it? Diamonds ready for the diamond trade?
We
I'd
do
love
want
to get
to
my
talk-
hands on some of those.
My companion, whose busy doing something right now. He's making a big hit with the ladies, by the way. Very popular in town.
Should be here any moment, I'm sure.
Yeah, he is.
Is it someone you can introduce me to?
Yes.
Probably, yeah. You are. You are.
I used to be quite a charmer in my day, you know.
You're just her type.
One can see it. Anyway, we have the knot man who has great quantities of money, he tells me, and the diamond.
Oh my word! Oh, I recognize you, don't I? Oh, weren't you the silver medalist in the All Asgard Games? Oh, I think I've got some of your merchandise. I'm back here somewhere in the stock room.
Garth puts his hands on his hips and flits his hair backwards and goes, "Yes, that's me."
Oh my word, what a magnificent specimen you are!
Why, thank you.
Steve, what are you disguising yourself as?
Yeah, is it? Oh, may I get it? Garth, do you inscribe things with runes?
I do, as a matter of fact.
Oh, I'm so pleased to make your acquaintance. Oh, I hope I aren't behaving in a manner unbecoming. It's just I've never seen anyone quite so illustrious as yourself. Oh, and hang on. Isn't this Eric Redshirt? Isn't this Eric the Redshirt? Oh my word!
You're aware of his success as a wrestling champion.
I've got trading cards with his face on it. Oh, it's amazing. What you did in the ring back in '72? I've never seen footwork like it.
Well, thank you very much. I'm surprised that anyone still has those stickers and remembers me.
What are you hanging around with these two reprobates for?
We just happened to knock on the door. I was following the great Grotgald, and we got caught up in this crazy adventure.
I told you, Eric. Call me Gigi.
Oh, sorry, Gigi.
It's a wonder they haven't been used as firewood.
I think they're so wet that wood would never light.
Well, that one's basically just hot stones, isn't he?
I just met them, so I cannot say.
Now, what can I do for you fine gentlemen? Leave the other two outside unless you're willing to speak about the diamonds.
Steve, that's your
I haven't found the diamonds yet.
Diamond tide wait for no man.
Yeah, but I'm not a man. Side question to the DM: how do dogs respond to me?
How do
It
dogs
seems like
respond to you?
They just pee on you, don't they?
Yeah,
No,
that's
that's me.
the tree. Yeah, that's him.
beyond me. And welcome it is too. The whole family enjoys it.
I think we've heard a fair amount of dogs responding to you this episode. So whenever you've spoken, it appears that the dogs have started barking.
Oh, right. Then maybe then I should disguise myself as a nondescript man in the hopes that we can get aboard the dog sled and away before they lose their minds.
That's a reasonable supposition. You are now using your Sather spell of Glamour Sight. If I'm correct, so that you can blend in. I'm not sure that it affects scent, but for the purposes of this, I will let you get away with it.
What is Steve? Steve, I've just heard you referred to as an atrocity.
Yes,
what
that
are
would be
you?
me.
That's what he is. He's an atrocity. Correct.
My character is a dark elf, so like a dark elf, essentially. My character was killed long ago and went to the afterlife. Had a passable time there, and then as a result of someone's malfeasance or misadventure, was dragged forcibly from the afterlife and encased in this admittedly magnificent stone body that is just a perfect physical specimen made entirely of black stone.
Wow.
And,
Whereas I was chosen to inhabit the holy body of a tree. Not a misadventure. I was chosen because I'm special.
Oh, but you are.
So a living statue, the Doc Elfar, were yanked from the afterlife by some appalling experiments gone wrong, and that Viking warrior that died 7 centuries ago now inhabits this rock-like facade.
And
with all the bad attitudes of youth. because I'm
Then-
1,200 years old. He's only 700.
With any luck, I will still get back to the afterlife before you.
Now, you want to hire some dogs? If you want to hire my sled team, I'm more than happy to do so, oh illustrious peacock. But what I would say is, we'll waive the fee as long as you can get me a nice full blabber pot from Spickborg. Fill it up with all of that lovely whale oil. I'll make a mint, and I'll even share the proceeds with you.
Sounds fair to me.
Well, it's wonderful to work with someone who's actually willing to do a deal without saying they're going to sully themselves with commerce, filthy commerce, eh? Too good for you, is it, Doc Alpha?
Yes. Just in his head, he's thinking, whatever it takes to make this person stop.
Now, the only problem is, your illustriousness, is I'm not really sure that I've got a sled big enough for you, because you're quite a sizable gentleman, and we might have to whip 2 sleds together in order to carry your magnificent carriage.
And the problem is?
Well, no, silly me for bringing it up. No problem at all. I'll get to it straight away.
Man speaking, would the sleds and the dogs be best, or one of those machine things? I don't remember what they're called. They have wheels and tracks and things. But
You're talking about the Skidverg.
Skidverg, yes.
This universe is Skidoos, and
intelligent skidoos.
Yeah, so they're automated skidoos that are driven by machine intelligence. Unfortunately, all of the ones that Gunnar has are in for repair. He doesn't own any himself. It's only the dogs that are on display today. My dog's not good enough for you. Afraid they're going to nibble at your branches. That's going to toss your stick and chase it.
I welcome all life, as my magical path of wisdom shows to anyone who cares to look.
Well, they're well-trained beasts. They're loyal to a fault. Make sure no harm comes to them.
We are very careful around all living creatures. I think the record also shows that. I'll leave you men to discuss the man things. I shall be over here soaking in some sunlight.
As we've just talked about, Gunnar is very willing to lend a sled or sleds to the team. You will need to tell me your marching order, so to speak, because each of you will man their own sled with 6 dogs.
Not Gigi. Gigi will have 12.
the mighty Gopher will indeed have 12, and because you have pride of place, you will also carry the blubber pot, which is a large iron cauldron that will attach to your sled, which the merchant expects to be filled up as part of your dealings with the jötnar of Spickborg.
Okay.
Did you guys acquire supplies?
I don't know. They went
Yes,
quiet. I
we need
assume they're
food.
done.
We need
Oh,
food.
food again.
Of course you do. How foolish of me, your humble servant. May I will provide you with saddlebags and stuff it full of all the finest delicacies that I have in my store.
Man, we also need flores. Floors.
Yes, whatever the Gopher requires, he may have.
We need flowers to scare away the
And of
bear.
course, we must make sure that Eric Roudcirk is very warm for his journey. We wouldn't want him catching a cold out on the ice. Please, Eric, do take this sealskin coat with my compliments.
Oh, thank you very much, Gunnar. It is Gunnar, right? Am I saying the name right?
Yeah, I'm so honored that you remembered my name.
Oh, wow. Who could forget? Such a fine person.
Oh,
I'm boxing. First of all, an autograph in rooms, and now all these famous sports people frequenting my sporting goods store. Or perhaps we can talk branding and merchandise when you return.
Happy to help you in any way I can.
He gives you a hearty wave and mushes the sled so that you are well on your way within the hour. It is an exhilarating ride. You whip down the glacier on these rickety wooden sleds, the team of dogs bounding in front of you, silently though, because they're so well trained. The only sound is the scraping of the runners as they cut through the snow, and all around you the primal mountains are all but a blur. Anything in particular that you're doing on your journey? Is it just sitting back, watching the world go by, mushing the dogs, or are you engaged in any banter? Do you want to give me that marching order so I know who's first?
I believe that Yomi says the pride of place should go to the Knotman.
So we fine with that. Who do you want to go first, Eric or Gigi?
Gigi can go first. Gigi is looking quite displeased by this entire ordeal. I just wanted to throw that out there, that he's got this kind of just, I'm over this. We were doing something. Now I'm stuck on this strange quest to be uncursed. This is just, he's not having a good time, and he's making it very apparent through his body language.
You get used to it.
It's a good reminder that you are all, racked by this psychic pain, with the
right.
With the exception of Eric, who appears to be in the prime of his rude health. Eric, have you got any thoughts on your journey through the tundra?
He's had a lovely day.
I mean, I'm excited just to be near Gigi, but I keep asking him questions about his exploits, and he keeps kind of shutting me off in a curt way. I don't think he's enjoying my inquiries into his past and all of his achievements.
Did you want to share any stories of pulling ropes?
I'm happy to share the stories, but no one's interested in me when you have someone like Gigi around.
Gigi, do you carry your silver medal with you at all times? Or?
No. No.
Where is it? Is it safely locked away?
It's in Asgard. That's where the Jötnar keep their stuff.
Very well. Very wise. You wouldn't want to risk it while riding on sleds with these reprobates. All right. So as you whip through the tundra, you soon pass by a landmark that you recognize, the Ifir Forest, an old growth forest, something called a knot on the southern spine of the island. It is known for its millennia-old bristle-cone pine trees. The forest itself sits on this isolated ridge. It protrudes from the ice sheet, so the glacier surges around the bedrock, and it allows the plant life to survive. The knot is used for transportation off-world. It is a passage through the greenways, the mechanism by which you can reach other parts of the 9 homeworlds, but it's broadly inaccessible. It looks like it's been cordoned off with razor wire. And it certainly looms above you as you rattle nearby, the dogs bounding silently ahead of you. Now, some of you have got a power score of 1 or more, and so if I'm correct, that should be CJ, it should be Bill, and it should be Steve. Mike, your character, being an oath-sworn, more of a warrior, hasn't dabbled with magic, and perhaps that's one of the reasons why you fended off the curse. The ones of you with that dalliance in the magical arts, you look over as you soar past the Ifir Forest, and in the mid-distance you see an old man standing on the rise, on the rocky ridge. He seems to be beckoning you over or waving. He's wearing a hooded, fur-lined cape and linen breeches. He stands barefoot despite the icy cold. Now, Eric, Mike, you only see where the others see a man. You see a huge hulking Isbjorn, one of the ice bears that patrol and prowl round this region. And you see, whereas the magicians, the wise among you, see something else, you see this immense bear.
I turn my sled towards the figure and Lyomi announces, I shall speak to the creature using small words.
But you see a man, right? You don't see a bear.
Right.
Okay.
How long does it take me to get to him?
So you're going ahead without comparing with the group, despite the fact that Mike sees a bear.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that you're cursed, that Mike's not cursed, and you're going ahead.
Is Mike the only one who doesn't see a bear? I thought, No,
I'm the only one who sees a bear.
Oh, right. I'm the only one who sees a bear. Oh, I thought it was both the men. All right. Well, I'm going to rein in just a little.
Does anyone else see that man over there?
Say, gentlemen, I do not see a man. I see a bear. Should we not keep far away from
Yes.
the bear?
We've had a bad experience with bears. That seems to be what started all of this.
Well, to be fair, Atrocity, our experience was not so terrible. I think perhaps the menfolk, the man and the not man, should advance towards the bear. That has served reasonably well in the past, it seems.
The edible ones. No, there is sense to that. I can't deny it.
So I see a man.
Yes.
Eric sees a bear.
I also see a man.
I also see a man thing.
So is it a man or a bear? Or both?
Let's send Urkel
neither.
to ask him. That I think that might be good.
Well, if it's a bear, you don't just walk up and introduce yourself.
Well, do you see a bear, not man?
I see a man.
Well,
what if we sled by and say hello?
Yes. Yes, lead the way. Excellent.
We say hello. If it says hello back, it's a man. If it growls, it's a bear.
Little tip.
Yes, precisely, but with speed. So if it growls, we go faster.
As an aside, little tip to the new players, watch the GM's image. If he does this, it can be a suggestion.
Yes.
We've taken the wrong tack.
Now, because this is an audio podcast, you need to describe the physical. I could just be face palm. Okay, it could be that I'm just giving you the finger.
Well, I suspect that's what your hands are doing nearly the whole time below the camera anyway.
You fly on the wooden runners, the dogs pounding silently across the tundra. The tundra is flowering right now in this midsummer season. The scene does not change. Eric continues to see a bear on the rise above, looming out of the trees of the Ifir forest. The rest of you swear that you see an old man beckoning and waving. Is it a product of the curse? Is it a product of your powers of the wise and your connection to the spirits of the land? How will you find out?
Friends, I recommend that I go forward, much like Gigi suggested.
I use tree sight. Yomi's going to use tree sight.
Oh.
Which has a variety of sensors and receptors that enable a creature to detect and respond. Normally I get so caught up in the story I forget all about my character's powers. Enable a creature to detect and respond to input from the physical environment. The creature makes challenge rolls to find hidden or invisible creatures with one wheel and automatically recognizes illusions. Ooh. Illusions, I say, Ian, for what they are.
Very good. And I do like the eureka moment that crossed across your face.
Yeah.
I've got a trait that deals with this.
You were thinking it was too early to sacrifice the man?
No, not really. That was
never too early. No.
Tree sight for the Alpha is akin to all of the various and multiple senses that real trees have. They can tell chemical imbalances in the air. They can communicate with each other because you're in the middle of the Ifir forest, or at least approaching it. The person that you can see is in the Ifir forest. You are able to tell that there is some kind of deep and powerful magic involved, and that the figure is neither man nor bear, but something all the more powerful. Certainly not an Arctic mirage, but it is something that is of the bones of the earth.
Well, that just sounds interesting. Liomi says atrocity.
Yeah.
The bones of the earth. Similar to you. You may make another friend.
Oh, lucky me. Do Daka, like, is that a term used to refer to my people, the bones of the earth? It sounds like it might be.
I was merely talking of something that was more kind of primordial, more primeval, something that would have stretched back to the days of Ymir himself, the Titan from whom the world was forged.
So we're talking something altogether more vast than any of us.
And I feel like as an aside, as a player rather than a character, I should offer, Steve already knows this, but for Michael in particular, who's brand new, and CJ has only just met me, although I'm full of ideas, there is no guarantee that any of them are good.
This is known.
My character is a bit pompous, a bit aloof, a bit of a know-it-all who doesn't know a lot. So, anyway.
Oh, your character, yeah.
Yeah. Life and art, Steve.
Yeah.
Life and art.
Recognizing that the form has been perceived, the man/bear vanishes into the forest, leaving a brush of falling snow that drifts from the branches in his wake.
Whatever it was trying to deceive us, which is not a great way to meet new people.
Isn't that how you met your girlfriend, though?
Yes. Like I said, not a great way to meet people.
All's fair.
I don't trust it. I think it probably had some horrible end in mind, and as soon as we saw through its disguise, the game was up. Or does someone want to pursue it and make a new friend involuntarily?
Would it help us remove the curse? If no, I suggest we just move on, keep going.
One of the things, CJ, just as a counterpoint, is if that was a creature reminiscent of the old gods, then you're not particularly interested, presumably because you belong to the Church of the New Gods, and as far as you're concerned, you are a demigod.
Pretty much.
Maybe you'd have something in common.
You could share recipes.
In that thing, hold your tongue or whatever is in your mouth, sir.
No.
We will leave
compare
that.
me?
We will leave that potential encounter, the old man in the fur cloak, and allow you to continue along your way to Spickborg again, following the jötnar trails over the glacier. Now, most of these trails are generally assumed to be safe, but when the weather is bad, with strong winds and drifting snow, it's possible to wander into danger. And it's also possible when the sun is high in the sky that some of the glaciers tend to groan and crack under the weight of passers-by. And unfortunately, this is what happens as you, Gigi, take the lead on your sled. There is a thunderous crack, as loud as lightning shattering stone. The ice shivers, and then the dogs that lead your sled erupt into panicking cries, and the sled plunges nose first through the ice, slipping first an inch and then another. I'm going to have you make a slight challenge roll. to see whether you can swerve and avoid the crevasse that has opened up and threatens to entomb you. So that is a D20 modified by your sleight, which I believe is 11 or 12.
Oh, sleight. Oh, yes, +1.
Okay.
Yep.
Is it a lucky dice?
Oh, yeah, it's got fire. It's fire.
Oh, that is lucky. Good in the north.
I mean, we'll see. Hang on, I need to warm it up.
Although you are on cracking ice, so.
Mm.
Oh, yeah. 17 + 1, 18.
Oh,
Nice.
The all Asgardian Togahonk champion steers his sled with great skill. Exactly. There is no one better suited to perform an emergency braking maneuver.
You have to remember, he's riding 2 sleds at once, too, side by side.
Wow,
It is
listen to the fanboy.
It is a feat worthy of Thor himself, especially since you're carrying an extra 200 pounds of blubber pot, which would add to the lethal momentum. But you avoid the demise of those loyal dogs, and catastrophe is averted. Right.
Look
Well,
out
with
for
that
the
in mind-
the ravine!
I'm going to go around.
Yomi turns to Air and says, important note, not just good for bears.
Yeah. Good for finding peril.
Well done for surviving that, and well done for making the hue and cry to allow your comrades to not have to roll as well. I'm sure they all appreciate that, given their slight scores are in the toilet.
And we're already injured.
and you're already injured.
We're near death to start with. I mean, again.
We will shimmer dissolve a few more hours pass, driven by the relentless rhythmic pace of your sled dogs. You glide into view of the wailing town of Spickborg, nestled between the ice-laden sea and the budding tundra. You see on the horizon, growing closer all the time, a humble sprawl of weathered timber structures. The jötnar within, swathed in their furs, toil and labor, dragging gargantuan slabs of whale blubber from the shore to their cauldrons. The air is heavy with a mix of burnt fat and salt spray, a fetid perfume produced from the continuous rendering of the oil. Would you care to proceed all the way to the town proper?
I would like to disguise myself again. Yeah, just look like a nondescript human.
Now, in order to do so,
Mhm.
do you only have one casting of that?
Oh,
Or-
is it the same day?
It is the same day. You can.
Yes.
We
you
haven't
can-
read it, yeah.
You can all decide to rest before proceeding into town. You won't heal anything, but you will regain use of such spells that you've casted. I will allow you to do that. You were well provisioned, and perhaps it is time to have a quick rest before you face the wrath of Daniel, the headman of the town, who placed this curse upon you.
I want to read the description of Spickborg that you gave us a snippet of a while back, Ian, because it has some interesting facts in it, including one of real import to me. Spickborg Blubbertown is made of 16 buildings, including a fort at its center, built to ward off interlopers. The alleys between the buildings are cobbled with drainage gullies. The settlement is built around the remains of Wilhelm Bjarnarth, centuries old. I may have mangled that slightly, and only partially excavated camp. About 40 jötnar work here, all monstrous beings, right, Ian? All the jötnar are monstrous.
I don't think you should speak of Steve's girlfriends like that.
Okay, fair. I certainly wouldn't want to upset him. Boiling blubber into oil, flensing whales, great word, flensing, and coopering casks to pour the oil into, making barrels, in other words. The town headman Daniel came to the island following a messianic vision and is a better rival of the Alf old that I wanted.
It's clear that there is no love lost between Daniel and Aldinger. Daniel and his jötnar clearly hunt whales, they clearly hunt bears, they do what is needed to survive on the tundra, whereas the Alpha want to preserve nature, want to protect the Isbjorn and regard them as sacred. So there is a clash of religion, a clash of cultures, a clash of outlook on what the resources of these northern climes are all about.
All right. So as a party, we're resting.
Very good. Now the sun does not set. Again, it stays glowing in the sky along with the bright red cross. It might descend to the horizon a little and create a kind of a beautiful painter's tapestry of you can't have a painter's tapestry, a painter's palette of
A knitter's
purples.
canvas.
Yeah, a canvas of purples and oranges, but then the sun again, a sol quickly ascends into the sky. As best you're able to, you try and shrug off the pain of the curse, the vexatious nagging in your mind for everyone apart from Eric, who has a long, half comatose sleep and exudes loud snores.
And the rest in the sunlight does not heal me, even with my Alfar nature.
The plague, the pox that has been placed upon you does not enable you to heal, even with a rest.
All right. Okay.
Could I heal myself and one other person before the rest, and then recharge that?
You have something called the Song of Praise as a skald, as one of the great Norse poets in the heroic tradition. You are able to invigorate and compel people to behave beyond the norm. Unfortunately, despite your best efforts to drive people to new heights, it doesn't overcome the curse. And so whilst you can rest and regain the use, your exhortations before you sleep were of no use. Such is the power of the curse pole, the knithing pole that has benighted your existence ever since it was hammered outside your hovel.
Well,
just out of interest, what is the gap now between your damage and your health?
yeah. Okay. GM ever says that, Michael? Don't believe the if just out of interest part. My health is 10, and I've taken 6 from the initial curse.
Health is 9. I took 7.
Loser.
Yeah.
And CJ?
I was at 16. I took 7.
16.
Okay.
He really is.
Rolls get +4, amigo.
He is buff and burly. Now, for those of you who've taken over 50%, you are in the injured status, which in game terms doesn't mean too much. It does interplay with certain spells and effects, but you just note that you are injured. Doesn't apply to CJ, and it doesn't apply to Michael, whose character Eric is in rude health.
I'll say.
Enjoying cavorting with the dogs and basking in the reflected glory of his idol, who's spread eagled across his 2 sleds, singing you all songs to try and get you.
Is it just me, or is it hard to like these men?
It's
They're tired.
The gods have favorites, and it's not us.
My character sheet definitely says you are gregarious. Others find you warm, friendly, and open-minded. They make friends easily. And then
other humans, perhaps,
and,
not
other humans.
That would be true of most normal people, but unfortunately, you got saddled with these denizens of death, these spirits of yesteryear, who are really quite soured on the fact that they died and got stuck in these bodies, whereas you are a prime specimen. Someone that they perhaps once used to know. You're almost like a Starcad figure who died in the same battle as you, Bill, eh?
Yeah.
Well, as far as
I didn't
Gigi's
like him
concerned,
then either.
Yeah.
As far as Gigi's concerned, he thinks he is making quick friends with you guys. So
Everybody likes you, right?
Yeah.
I think these two are kind of like Felix and Oscar from The Odd Couple.
It has been mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not the first time that's been mentioned.
Just gets mentioned when they're in supermarkets together. Anyway, now you having rested and tried to deal with the racking pain of the curse, you are now able to approach the village of Spickborg. These rusted, salt-encrusted buildings. They cling together against the biting wind. Smoke billows from chimneys that suggest warmth and shelter within.
Yeah, I would like to disguise myself as an ordinary person, ordinary man.
Maybe as a jötnar. You should be a jötnar.
I don't think I could pull that off.
So the scene that greets you, there's this huge whalebone arch. They've taken the jaws of some beast that they've dismembered and taken the flesh of, and they've turned the moor into a huge arch that acts as a gateway to the village, and everything else is adorned with carved whale pieces, the ivory, the baleen that comes from these creatures' pieces, its arms, its armor. It really is everywhere, ornamenting their daily existence. You really do get a sense that they live off the sea. As you approach the village, you do see a group of jötnar walk towards you. One of them is what passes perhaps for a woman. She wears a shriveled skin garment, has a skin bag on her head, and her hair is like eagle's feathers that reach right down to her shoulders. Her face resembles more of a wild wolf than a human, and she carries in her hand a large ivory pole, and in the other a halberd, which looks very sharp. Treading heavily, she also, you notice, is just carrying the remnants of 2 walruses that she's clearly recently slain and dismembered. Behind her are half a dozen other of these monstrous jötnar.
So just a point of precision for the Jöfur character, seeing as his upbringing would have included a thorough education in all things. I just wanted to mention that up to this point, Gigi has been narrating and telling everyone all about whale anatomy and which bone is what. And so when he encounters this woman, the first question is, what types of bones is she wearing? What would Gigi point out?
They're mainly going to be tusks and teeth from a variety of different beasts. Are you posing that as a pop quiz to your comrades, or are you actually asking?
I was just asking what she would have on her that he would point out.
Anything that the tundra will divulge, they've been able to get their hands on. The furs of perhaps Arctic foxes, the hide of reindeer, the pelts of bears, all of those things are what they dress in. Now, there is a rather incongruous greeting that echoes from this woman as she says, "Grace and peace be yours in full measure. Have you come to repent and cast off your sins?"
Leomi nudges air in the ribs hard and goes, "Looks like one of your type."
I don't know what you mean, for I am Olaf, a perfectly normal human, and certainly not an abomination.
Just the sort of...
Wake up, sleepers, wake up! Rise from death, the light of the white Christ will shine upon you.
Well,
She said we can cast off sins. That might help.
well,
Maybe we should learn more.
yes, as a human, you perhaps could, prepare to serve the white Christ.
For what it's worth, I'm going to sort of mimic what what Eric does, because Eric is doing things that look like what normal humans do. So I'm going to sort of, vaguely and probably not very well do the things he does and assume that is what looking like a normal person looks like.
So you're mostly gazing at...
How's your butt scratching and...
Butt scratching, got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Nose
you're
picking.
mostly gazing fondly at the magnificent one. Is that what you're telling me?
I'm going to do a little of that, but I don't want to, I don't want to overdo it. Yeah. So, ass scratching, nose picking. Yeah, that's sort of, okay.
Got to readjust your crotch every once in a while.
Oh, I noticed a lot of that. I remember doing that once long ago. I had a crotch worthy of adjusting, but that's all behind me now.
Now, whilst you're busy rearranging your posture and itching your nether regions, the crowd parts and they almost begin to bow in solemn greeting as another jötnar strides amongst them, and he yells out, "Oi, oi, Saveloy!" He's wearing a polar bear pelt. He carries a large narwhal horn, perhaps as a scepter of authority. It has a sharp end. It's tipped with a platinum globe that emits a bright light in all directions. And this character is clearly someone of some importance. It seems as hail or sleep blows out of his nostrils. He has a bushy beard and a bald head and hands almost like eagle talons. Oh, blimey, cat, got your tongue? Enough of that fucking codswallop. Let me get a butcher's at you.
Yomi steps forward. I forgot what I was going to say.
Welcome to fucking Spickborg, you bunch of murdering cunts.
Are all the jötnar from the UK then? Is that what I'm thinking?
This one speaks in the jötnar brogue,
I see it.
Right.
which is a language of rhyming slang, a kind of thieves' cant that grew up in the war on the far-flung realm of Jotunheim, as you had all of these Christian exiles who fled the empire, treated as ne'er-do-wells and malcontents when they were spliced with the genes of animals and the creatures of God's great bounty. Then they took on a slightly different approach to language than the traditional Norse did.
Yomi steps forward and says, "Greetings, creature. We seek the one named..."
You'll address me as fucking Daniel, or I'll break your branches off. Me old man's brown
Daniel.
bread and you come walking in here like the Queen of fucking Sheba.
That's Daniel. It's Daniel.
I'm the breaker of rings in these parts. Daniel's the name. Lord lummy. Bunch of fucking tea leaves telling porkies.
So Grilgarth is going to step forward and have a conversation with Daniel.
Ooh, like
He's
as
going to
in,
put his...
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing them talk in
I'm
their
sure
language.
he's a fan as well.
Oh, well, this is Gigi's time to shine. He's going to put his hands on his hips and split his hair back and give him the $1 million smile. Or, sorry, the 1,000,000 Cronum smile, and says, "I'm Grilgarth, the Magnificent. And I hear you can remove this curse that I was unjustly given."
Give me one good reason why I shouldn't string you up by your bollocks and leave you twisting in the wind. I've got you, bastard. You're in a right 2 and 8. The inky smudge kicked you out of town and you're short of a sheet. Let's get round to brass tacks. Did you mug it then? The deed? Is that why you did the old fella in?
So Grilgarth is going to look back at the other two and be like, "What is
I'm
he
looking at the other
talking about?"
three. I'm sure if I listen quietly, this will all make sense shortly.
Do you speak of the old hunter, Balfrang?
If
His
you
name was
can't get
difficult.
me old dad's name right, get it out of your lips before I wipe it off your face.
Hilda's dad?
No, it wasn't Kevin Finn's fault. Your father's name was? I believe there may be some confusion here.
Bjarne Bjarnason.
Oh.
You bear baiters brought him out onto the ice and had him mauled. That curse ain't all you got coming to you unless you make amends.
Certainly, we, and particularly the men, would be interested in making amends. However, it was really the bear that False Doggy is raising. I'm not certain of the name. Peltoggy, something like that. Anyway, he mistreats this animal.
And Nick Spittles
no,
and
that's not
Snollygosters.
the name.
I don't need to listen to this. Now, if you want the curse lifted, you're gonna have to make amends. You're gonna have to do penance. Down this part, we're not in the business of Omgang and Jewels of Honor. You're gonna give alms to the poor benighted fuckers of Spickborg. We're scraping a living out of the fucking tundra, and what are you people doing? Look at him! Cock of the fucking north with his peacock feathers.
Lyomi nods, steps back, and with a generous sweeping motion of his arm, gestures towards the two men, particularly the tall one on the double sled.
Yeah, and what?
I believe your solution is there. Traniel.
Traniel?
Traniel.
Oh, Daniel.
Spaniel?
Kovnel.
Spraniel?
I have an excellent memory for names. I'm sure it was Traniel. Traniel, perhaps.
Here's what we're gonna do. I want the fucking land deed that you guys have half-inched. I'm his bath bum. I'm his fucking dustbin lid. All of this is mine by right. This whole archipelago, teeming with Aegir's riches, all underneath the tundra, and is all mine. That deed given to Wilhelm, given to my old grandpa. Well, I say grandpa, several steps removed, but all fucking mine. Ain't getting your hands on it. Where's the deed gone? Lured the old bastard into the tundra so you could have him off?
Yes. Well, now, to the GM, I'm just reminding you, I am by training, I was a reeve, so I should be able to do a bit of law talking. And I'm assuming I would understand it, as confused as I am, or at least as I'm playing myself. I would understand the concept of deed. Yes.
Yes.
That
title deed. A title deed.
A title deed.
In the same way as that perhaps Manhattan was given by the First Nations to the settlers, at least according to the law, they handed it over for a handful of beads. Somewhere back in history, the land deed was assigned by the local Skraeling to presumably an ancestor of this gentleman and his father, who appears to predeceased him.
Ah, all right. Okay. Well, he raises a good point. Lyomi addresses Daniel and says, I know of what a deed is. I know of what its function is, but we saw no such document. Are you certain it was in his possession? Perhaps someone else has taken it from him before we arrived to escort him to the Trollsbung, where he was to execute himself, so as not to die in the city, according to the laws that the men seem very excited about.
Bloody hell. You wank to your own voice, don't you? It's fucking taters in the mould outside. Get in. We'll sit down by the fire and discuss it. What's you done with the body?
We threw it off the Trollsbung into the
you
rocks
did
below.
Fucking what? You threw my old man's into the fucking fisherman's daughter?
We were told by one of the wheeled things in town that he was dying and needed to be dealt with according to the rules of the town. So we were following that commission.
Fuck me, if I told you to just walk off into the ice and dunk your head in the fucking sea, would you do it?
Not again.
Did that sound in any way like it was a sensible fucking thing to do with all of my wealth tucked up in that old bastard's coat?
Is that where they keep it?
We in his coat, did you say? In his coat?
Well, we've had you surveilled. It's not in his fucking cabin, is it? Because otherwise we'd have found it.
My assistant here, this other man who stands very quietly, he searched your father's remains after the bear attack and found no documents of any kind. I believe the crime you're alluding to occurred before our engagement in what was really a mission of mercy and love and peace. And bears,
I've had
unfortunately.
To you. What about you? And he looks at you, CJ, and he says, "What's your story? You got less brains than a packet of pork scratchings. Your mug's so ugly, even your mum's blushing. I've seen better faces on the backside of a fucking baboon."
I beg your pardon. Those things are all absolutely false.
He casts his eye over to Eric next and says, "What about you? About as much fucking use as a chocolate teapot or a knitted condom, ain't ya?"
I'm a big fan of knitted condoms.
Well, you can kindly fuck off then. Right, this is what we're gonna do. If you were expecting a happy ending, well, I'm sorry. It's just not that kind of fucking massage parlor. You're gonna come out and you're gonna do the whale hunt. You're gonna get out there on the ice, you're gonna earn your keep, you're gonna get me some blubber, and then I'll think about lifting the curse.
We actually need the blubber, so yes, that works. Mostly. Or, I have an idea. Since you love your grandfather so much, I can write you a poem about him, about his great deeds, to live forever in memory.
A
Have you
poem,
ever
eh?
received such a gift?
Let's hear it then.
Well, you'll have to tell me about your grandfather and all the wonderful things that he did that you love him and remember him for before he was cast into a ravine by these natural phenomena.
Let's do this then. What we're gonna do, we're gonna have a right old knees up. First of all, we're gonna go get ourselves some blubber. Then, once we've done a good old day's hard work and toil, we're gonna come here, we're gonna have a fire, we're gonna have a feast, and you can tell me all about it. What do you say to that, you big tomtit?
As long as the curse is removed, that, by the way, must I remind you, was improperly cast upon me. I was just standing there, minding my own business, looking for something. It's none of your business.
Steve,
Anyone got anything else to say before the various jötnar around you herd you towards the makeshift jetty, the docks that jut out into the ice-strewn sea? You are asked to board a vessel called the White Swan, the Svanvita.
Steve, have a look at your sheet and find your best whale hunting spells. Hopefully you have several, just like
I
that.
have a variety of them, actually, yeah.
Okay, good.
I have summon blubber, which is...
that's going to be helpful.
I don't use it often. It's kind of a niche thing, but man, is it... Yeah, it's just the thing.
This is what we're gonna do. You're gonna jump aboard my mighty flagship, the Svanvita, and we're gonna sail out to sea. The fellows here, they're gonna keep rifles trained on you, so there's no funny business. I don't expect you to get your hands dirty, not you pretty types. We don't want to get blood under your fingernails, do we? Nah, you're gonna watch the ancient hunting tradition, the Grindergap, or the grind. And he goes on to describe this ancient tradition, and effectively what happens is his whalers will sail out, they will chase down a pod of whales, they'll maneuver their boats to drive the mammals to shallow water, and then the hunters with their huge knives will wade into the surf and kill them.
Oh, shit.
You are herded aboard boat which sails out between the icy flows. The local stretch of water is called the Hellsund. It's the Hell Strait. It's full of ice flows as far as the horizon, these huge slabs of frozen seawater that splinter and groan. It's quite a large boat. There are perhaps 8 other jötnar sailors on board, with you and with Daniel, who stands there with his polar bear pelt fluttering in the wind, his eyes gazing out to sea with a kind of pride. You get a sense that he is really enjoying having people from out of town see just how skillful he is at hunting these whales.
Something that is going to come up is that after we've been in the boat for, 40, 50 minutes or something like that, I'm just going to sit in the boat with everyone else, mind blowing business, not talk to anyone, but when the hour is up, the disguise wears off, and I look like myself again, and I will say nothing about it, and see how long it takes for someone to notice.
You switch from being a human to a statue in a corner, almost as if you have turned to stone.
Yeah, man, I won't announce it or anything. I'll just, continue to enjoy the amusing local custom.
Well, I presume then you are looking on the scene in awed silence. Daniel's whalers herd a pod of whales to the shore, and you can taste the iron in the air as they go about their brutal business of hacking the creatures to bloody death. The sea turns red, and great pools of blood spread underneath the Svanvita. And Daniel says, "Would you get a look at that? That's nature in all of its beauty. This is why they call it the gold of the seas."
Most impressive, Yomi offers. Well done. Extremely bloody.
Quite the display.
It's interesting that, given his diatribe, everyone's now been cowed into submission. You daren't say anything. Make for me, if you would, all of you, an awareness roll.
That's a D20.
And there's a D20 against your awareness.
I mean,
My awareness is 19, I'm pretty sure.
6.
I got a 10.
I got 17 plus 2 against a 12.
18.
CJ, I think you're the only one that doesn't notice. Would you care to describe what you're doing at this moment when something monstrous comes up on the starboard side?
Lovely. Garth, Gigi, is actually quite curious about this whole process, and speaking to our Jotun friends about the hunt and asking all manner of questions about how they do things. He's a student of life, essentially. So that's what he's doing. He's busy asking Daniel about, oh yes, so the spears, the jaggedness, and, all the technical questions.
Whatever it is so all-consuming that you do not notice, rising up on the far side of the boat, a huge, great sea serpent, a worm from Norse myth. Its maw ringed with rows of sharp teeth. This beast is monstrous. It drips salt water onto the deck, but it does so almost silently. It looks like the three of you, Lomi and Eric, are the only three people to have seen this beast emerge.
Lomi, it's that time again.
Yeah, I'm just making a note of yet another use.
Well, I can say something. I immediately go down on my knees and clasp my hands together in prayer of this momentous occasion where because of my religion, this is a sacred beast that has appeared.
You recognize it, Eric, as a storeworm, a storthagander, a great sea serpent that's as wide as a tree trunk, with horns on its head and scales that glitter. like a winter's sun. Norse mythology speaks of these beasts as one of Loki's brood cast into the sea by Othin himself.
Yeah, like that.
Like that, yeah. That's
I'm curious to see how this prayer goes. I have high hopes for Eric's success.
I'm preparing the secret path spell and looking back at the beach we left.
Is it the secret swim spell?
Sure. Isn't it?
The storeworm crawls up the side of the Svanvita, slithering mass of these tiny eyes, these devilish horns, and its rows of knife-like teeth. Mike, Eric was going to make a prayer to this beast. Would you like to utter it now?
Please.
yes. Almighty Jormungandr, serpent of the sea, ancient one who circles all eternity. We call upon your strength and scale, guardian of waters, fierce and pale. In depths unknown, your shadow lies, beneath the waves, beneath the skies. With current strong and tempest wild, you guide the seas, both fierce and mild. Mighty serpent, rise and roam, in brine and salt we find our home. Bless us, Jormungandr, fierce and free, keeper of storms, lord of the sea.
It is heartfelt and touching. For a moment, the great storeworm just looks at you, pauses, the kind of torrent of seawater pouring down off it, before, in a lightning flash, it rips towards you. It's more already big enough to swallow the whole stern. It grabs you in its mouth. Ooh, that is a lot of sixes.
Oh no.
What falls to the deck is just gristle and bone. Most of you is swallowed instantly into the beast and gulped down. I'm afraid, Mike, at that, we end your first session of role-playing in the belly of the beast.
Nice death.
Well, moral of the story, boys. Prayer does not help you.
Lomi turns to air and says, it seems his prayers were answered,
Yes.
as were ours.
You know, Eric did have a smell about him. I'm surprised he hasn't been vomited right back out.
At that moment, Gigi turns round, perhaps partly jealous at the rhythmic stylings of Eric, perhaps a little bit sad that his friend has just been eaten. But that's the first time that you notice the immense serpent that's looming above the boat. And Daniel says, would you take a look at fucking that? I thought I'd fucking flushed it! And there, we will end the episode and pick up in due course next week to find out whether anyone else survives the onslaught of the storm.
I do want to note that I looked at my secret path spell a little more closely, and it does specifically say land spirits reveal a path that leads you to that destination. So no, not a swimming path.
As Daniel would say, yeah, fucking shit out of luck. The Vikings and Valkyries podcast is hammered together by a dedicated team of Scalds and Smiths. Joining us this week was CJ Adrian, an award-winning author of Viking historical fiction novels. Find links to these works of myth and legend in the show notes. In the meantime, please don't forget to like, share, and sacrifice to the old gods.